Hey everyone, this is Rachel. Thanks for clicking on my video. And I came in today to talk about the children of Real Housewives of Atlanta. There have been a couple stories in entertainment news these past few days that made me really want to take a look at what's going on with these kids. So the first ones up are Riley, Todd, and Kandi. Now, y'all, I read a story that says that Riley has been faking the funk, that she really doesn't like Todd, that she believes that he's an opportunist, that he's only with her mother for her mother's money. Now, y'all, a few seasons back, we watched Mama Joyce rake Todd over the coals for this very thing. So some of this, I believe, was put in Riley's ear by her grandmother. Now, the story also goes on to say that Riley has spoken to people who have known Todd over the years, who have told her that Todd always had these grandiose ideas of himself and that he was going to be something one day. They'd also said that Todd was dating this woman right before he met Kandi, and he had professed his love to this woman. But when he met Kandi, he dropped the woman like a hot potato and started dating Kandi. Y'all, one thing I'm going to say in the outset is that I'm going to be flip-flopping in this story, back and forth. At one point, you're going to notice that I'm on the side of the parent, and at other points, you're going to notice that I'm on the side of the child. So I'm going to be flip-flopping all over everywhere. So one thing that I want to say right up front is what happened to children, which is what Riley is, even though she's 16, should stay out of grown folk business. And what I mean by that is Kandi is a very savvy businesswoman. We watched Kandi hold off on getting married until Todd signed that prenup. I think that Kandi has done everything that she could to protect her wealth when it comes to her marriage to Todd. This is not the first time Kandi has been at this rodeo. I believe that Kandi always wanted to be married in a family, a traditional family. And in thinking about that, she also thought about, she would probably be the wealthier of the two, and that she would need to protect her money against anyone that she married. So Kandi, this is not something that Kandi took lightly, and Riley should understand that Kandi is an adult and she can take care of herself. Now, on the side of Riley, a lot of times when there is a step parent in the house, sometimes the child does not get along with them. I know when it came to me and my kids after I had divorced, about a couple years later, I thought about, stepping out and, starting to date again. And I noticed some pushback from my children. They wanted it to be just us, me and them and no one else. And I remember having to sit down and explain to them that, I took time out to, get myself back together after the divorce. And it's been a couple years, and I would like to start dating if it was all right with them, and just explain to them that parents need companionship. So it took them a while to come along, but they ultimately wanted me to be happy. And when it comes to Riley, she is there in that home with her mother, and she knows that for reasons that she may not understand, Todd makes her mother happy. And that might be a bitter pill for Riley to swallow, because she's at an age where she truly doesn't understand the inner workings of a man and woman relationship. She's also at an age, because I remember when my kids were that age, they're a little selfish at that age. The world revolves around them. And like I said, they want their parent to themselves. But what Riley may have to learn to do is live with it. She's almost an adult. And like I said, parents deserve a little bit of love, a little bit of companionship, and a little bit of time to themselves. And that's what Todd brings to Kandi. Now, on Riley's side, I can understand what she feels. I watch my kids trying to understand, okay, mommy and daddy are not together. Daddy's going to be over here dating. Mommy's going to be over here dating. It took them a while to understand that, first of all, we weren't going to be together. And secondly, we were going to start to be interested in other people. So I get where Riley's coming from. Now, the one thing that I don't understand is her grandmother saying things in front of Riley or discussing, you know, Todd and Kandi's marriage and money and all of that with a child. Because when you do that, because you're an adult, you can poison that child's mind against that step parent. And then there's no coming back from that. You know, Todd is in a lose-lose situation here because his only ally is Kandi. When you have the other family members discussing, you know, this man is only with her for her money, blah, blah, blah. I think Kandi would have been able to see that if, you know, if that were the case after all of these years. What I remember hearing is that Kandi and the ladies of the Real Housewives of Atlanta were filming in Africa, and Todd was a production assistant or something like that, and they caught each other's eye, and that Phaedra kind of got them together, you know, knew that they were both interested in each other, spoke to one, spoke to the other, and said, you know, if y'all like each other, go ahead and talk. Now, it was kind of not a good thing because Todd was working, you know, part of the crew, and he wasn't supposed to be fraternizing with the cast. So from what I'm understanding, he quit the show so that it would not be frowned upon him dating Kandi. So he gave up, you know, a job to be with her. Now, a lot of people will say, well, he knew that if he got with her that, you know, she had all this money, but there was no guarantee that they were going to get married. I think these two just fell in love, and it's simple as that. And unfortunately, there's nothing that Riley can do about her mother's marriage but learn to live with it. Now, I know that this probably puts Kandi in a terrible place. You're caught between the man you love and your child. So I can imagine the stress and tension that is going on in that house. And the only way to combat that is to sit down and talk as a family. Todd, you know, reassuring Riley, I'm here because I simply love your mother. And maybe just, you know, asking her questions. Am I doing something that you think that, you know, says that I'm only here for the money? You know, just having an open dialogue. Because one thing that I noticed is these children of today are a lot more outspoken than what we were. We wouldn't dare, you know, go to our mother and voice our opinions about their men. Now, we may not like them or whatever, but, you know, we may frown or whatever, but we weren't as vocal as these kids are today. So with that being said, because they are vocal, then you need to have an open dialogue with them. They need to have family discussions to try to get past this. That is the only way that this is going to work. Again, I feel for Riley because she may feel that, you know, her mother has this new man, this new baby. And I also heard that she didn't want Kandi to have any more babies by Todd. I think some of this may be that Riley had Kandi to herself for so many years. So maybe as, you know, Todd and Kandi's marriage strengthens and, you know, their babies coming along, Riley feels like maybe she's being pushed to the side. But what she doesn't realize is no one can take her place in Kandi's eyes. To the day Kandi dies, Riley will be her firstborn, you know, her daughter, and they will hold that distinction will hold a special place in Kandi's heart, and nothing and no one can tear that away. So I think once Riley matures, she gets older, and she's looking back on this, she will understand that, maybe I was just young. I didn't, give Todd a chance because I had my grandmother in my ear, and maybe I was a little wrong. Now, on Riley's side, here's something I want to say. As long as Todd is not doing anything to her, because we've heard horror stories of step parents molesting kids and all kinds of things, whooping up on them. Now, we haven't heard anything like that, and I don't think that's an issue. But what I'm saying is, as long as Todd is being respectful of her feelings and trying to keep an open dialogue and being kind to her and all of that, then the only thing that Riley could do is grin and bear it and get through it, because in a couple years she'll be 18. She more than likely will be going off to college, and then once she graduates, then she'll be out there on her own, out of her mother's house, more mature, and then she will be able to look back on this and say, maybe I was just young and I was in my feelings, and it wasn't quite what I thought it was. This man truly loves my mother. My mother seems to be very happy, and that's all it is to it. And I hope for them that, this works out. I will say that Kandi is not one of my favorite. She used to be. I used to really, really like Kandi, but these past couple seasons, a couple of these women have really soured on my stomach. But even with that said, when you're trying to blend a family, I wish the best for Kandi, because I know that from watching all of the seasons of Real Housewives of Atlanta before Kandi met Todd, Kandi wanted love. Kandi wanted a traditional family. Kandi wanted a husband. And she finally found someone that she seems to fit with. And I hope Riley allows her to have this without causing too much tension, because an unhappy child in a relationship, in a marriage like this, can tear it apart. When they are hell-bent on, that relationship not working, they can cause a lot of damage. So I just hope that Riley matures before anything bad happens. And with that, y'all, on to the next story. Now, this next story up, y'all, is about Nene Leakes and her son, Bryce. So, y'all, I watched this video of another YouTuber's, and in the video, the YouTuber plays a clip from one of Bryce's baby mamas, which I didn't even know that Bryce had 2 kids. I guess he has that daughter that Nene, brought on the show, but he also has a son by another girl. Well, this girl did a little video, and she's talking shit about Nene and Bryce. First of all, she claims that Nene is very mean to Bryce. That Nene, I guess, texts him and calls him and, tells him that she's ashamed of him and he needs to get himself together and blah, blah, blah. And the girl goes on to say that Bryce won't work any type of really meaningful job, that he, is okay with working at fast food places. She talks about him being on drugs, being found in a drug house. And she also goes on to say that after Nene had made that joke when she was doing her stand-up comedy, about the Uber driver, that Nene's money has dropped off and that Nene is back on the show because she needs money, that she's not pulling the coins or getting the gigs that she was getting before, and she actually needed Real Housewives of Atlanta for the money. She also goes on to say that Bravo had wanted Bryce and her to be on the show, but Nene put the kibosh on it. I guess because Nene is ashamed of what's going on in Bryce's life, that he's not being productive. Now, that's everything that I saw in that video. So I just want to talk about it. Now, Nene is not my favorite person, but let me just talk about her as a parent. I think that when Nene got this show, that was right around the time that Bryce was getting into his teenage years and all of that. And I don't fault Nene for seeing an opportunity and, you know, coming on the show and doing something that could bring her family a lot of money and a lot of, well, you know, fame and all of that. This is what she wanted. You know, she wanted to be on that show. She got on it and she became successful. So parents, and here again, I'm going to talk about parents. Parents still have ambitions too. Even though they are a parent and they're in the middle of raising their kids, they still want to be productive, you know, people in society. Now, during this time, she's trying to raise kids. Now, one thing that I don't like Bravo or any of these reality shows to do is to put those kids on camera. Now, here's what I say about that. If they're just walking across a room, or if the parent is attending, say, a sporting event or a play or a recital or something, and they focus on the parent, not those kids, I don't have a problem with that. But when they are centering stories around the kids, one example of that is when Kandi'S daughter was having a problem with her father. I did not like them focusing on that child and us watching her pain. The children did not sign up for this. So I know that it's hard for these reality show women to not include their kids because their kids are young and they're in the midst of raising them. So a reality show where you don't see their kids would be weird because they're mothers. But I don't want stories that are focused around negative things concerning the kids. Those kids have to go to school. They have to be out here in the world, and kids can be cruel. So all of these things that are going on with Bryce, I can understand as a parent, Nene being upset with him, disappointed in him, and thinking about all the opportunity that she afforded him, and for him not to take that and then go live this life, popping out babies, and if the rumors are true, being on drugs. I can imagine Nene is upset, because who as a parent wants to think about their child on drugs, you know? Now, in Bryce's case, this fame that his mother came upon happened right when he was in his teenage years. And I think a lot of times maybe Nene had to do things for the show, and she couldn't be there like, say, you or I, you know, just regular parents who are not on a reality show. You know, she couldn't be there all the time. But what she was doing for their family, even though I'm not a big Nene fan, it changed their lives. Her being on that show has put them living in a mansion and all of that. I think maybe that Bryce may have got lost, you know, during that time, because when you are a teenager, when you're going through those teenage years, and y'all, let me tell you, I had two of my own, so I understand. As a parent, you got to be there. You got to be paying attention, seeing who their friends are, what's going on. It's almost like if you take your eyes off of them for too long, they could start getting into trouble. I believe that had Nene not had the show, that Bryce would not be who he is. Because one thing I will say about Nene and Greg, they appear to be loving, good parents. But I think Bryce's teenage years happened right along the time that Nene started to rise to fame. And I don't fault Nene for that, because like I said, I believe that parents still need to live. On Bryce's side, if this is a rebellion, or if this is something, you know, he's troubled or something, he could have gone and talked to his mother. Like I said, can understand Nene being upset. The one thing that I don't get with her telling him, if it's true what the girlfriend said, that she was ashamed of him. Because even though Bryce is an adult now, the one thing that I notice when it comes to my kids, my opinion means a lot to them. My perception of things that they're doing, my approval means a lot. I know that if I told one of my kids, called them and just simply told them that I was ashamed of them, that I didn't want them to be seen with me in public, or I didn't want them on a show with me if I was Nene, it would hurt them. So while I'm not trying to take up for Bryce, I think for his mom to say that when he knows everything that's going wrong in his life, it probably was a crushing blow. Now, what he could do is straighten up so Nene wouldn't have to say that. And, just being fair with, to Nene, I believe that Nene probably has done everything that she could to help him. But at some point, they're adults and they need to take responsibility for their own lives. Maybe Nene went to the wall with him and, did everything that she could. And after a while, she got tired of trying, especially once he became an adult. And she probably was fussing and she was upset. You know how we are as parents. You'll talk to him for a while, then you get to arguing, then you get to preaching. And after a while, you throw your hands up because you say, wait a minute, this is an adult. I've done the best I can. If this is the life that they're choosing for themselves, what am I to do about it? I think that may be more of where Nene is. And this girlfriend, this baby mama who did the video, to me, she has ulterior motives, because if she knows that Bryce is dysfunctional, that he has a lot of negative things going on in his life right now, why would she want to be on a reality show putting that boy's business all out there like that? Showing his dysfunction. If you loved him, you would want to stay behind the scenes, help get your man together, rather than be on a reality show so you can become famous, because the girl seems a little fame hungry to me. Now, she is spilling a lot of Nene's family secrets and, things that are going on behind the scenes. And after I watched it, at first, how you're watching it and you're like, well, okay, wait a minute. This girl seems like she's more concerned that Nene blocked her being on the show than she is the welfare of her child's father. She also mentioned that Nene has not seen her baby in person. She talks about Nene has seen pictures, but Nene doesn't want to see the baby. Now, I'm going to say something on behalf of Nene. I think that maybe this girl is trouble. That Nene sensed something about her, and she's trying to keep that trouble, off the big screen. It's a way also to protect Bryce, because like I said, when they center these stories around the children of these housewives, I don't think that's a good look, because it's the parents that signed up for it. It's the wives that signed up for it. Right now, if Bryce is, dabbling in drugs and he doesn't have himself together, he doesn't need to be on a reality show. And I was a little angry at that girl, even though Nene is not one of my favorites, but I was a little angry at that young woman for doing a video and airing out things that Nene, nor her sons, nor Greg are out there letting people know. You don't have to have all your business out there. And I can respect Nene. A lot of people say she might just be hiding stuff. She wants to keep her image and all of that. That might be true. But I also believe she doesn't want to put her son's business out there like that. If you had a child who was on drugs, allegedly, would you want to trot him out in front of polite company and have him at his worst? No, you wouldn't do that. So I'm giving Nene a pass on this, and I'm throwing this side eye at the girl who put all of the business out, the baby mama. Tell me what y'all think about these stories. Thank you for watching the video. I might have been rambling a little bit and, like I said, flip-flopping a little bit. But I wanted to talk about these kids, and I want to know what all of you think about the stories. As always, thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye now.